Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Antonio Conte is waiting for a call from Manchester United. Now Antonio Conte is the favourite to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Antonio Conte is available because he left Inter Milan at the end of last season. There's a lot of Manchester United fans that are demanding Conte in. Earlier on this season, it said Conte would accept the Man United job if Solskjaer gets sacked, and Conte made it clear that he wants a winning project. So reflecting on that, he rejected Arsenal and he rejected Tottenham. Conte has got a good pedigree behind him. He's won a lot of silverware in his home nation. In his first season at Chelsea, he won the Premier League, so Conte has managed in the Premier League before. But I think if he came to Manchester United, he'd get us to that level where we need to be, and he would suit the strappings of the club. Now there's also some Manchester United fans that have been demanding Zidane in. Now Ronaldo wants Zidane. Ronaldo played against Leicester last weekend. He was anonymous for the vast majority of that game. He did have a couple of chances, but Ronaldo wasn't getting enough service. Ronaldo tried to storm off the pitch in the 4-2 defeat to Leicester, but Solskjaer stopped him from storming off the pitch. Now, before the international break against Everton, Ronaldo didn't start, and reflecting on that, Ronaldo was annoyed with Solskjaer, and Solskjaer got heavily criticised for not starting Ronaldo against Everton, but despite that, Solskjaer said he had no regrets over not starting Ronaldo. Well, prior to the Leicester game, Ronaldo did inform Solskjaer that he wants to play in every single league game after he was left on the bench against Everton. Don't forget Ronaldo got named Premier League Player of the Month for September. Ronaldo's done really well since he's re-signed. He's scored 5 goals in all competitions so far. He scored a hat-trick for Portugal against Luxembourg during the international break. Recently though, I have been talking with you a lot about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Pressure has mounted on Solskjaer after Manchester United's 4-2 defeat to Leicester. It was the first time we lost away from home in the Premier League since January 2020. Manchester United are now winless in their last 3 league games, and Manchester United have only won 2 of their last 7 games in all competitions. But despite that, the Athletic said after the defeat to Leicester that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job is safe. So Solskjaer will not be sacked by Manchester United despite Man United's poor form. and apparently he will be allowed to spend up to 70 million in January. But the vast majority of Manchester United fans are Solskjaer out. If Solskjaer does get sacked, he will be the fourth permanent manager to be sacked since Ferguson. We've already sacked 3 managers since Ferguson. We sacked David Moyes, we sacked Louis van Gaal, and we sacked Jose Mourinho. Solskjaer is in a position that he shouldn't be in. I just feel as though that the expectations are far too high for Solskjaer to exceed, because I did mention at the start of this season that this season was going to be massive for Solskjaer because he's got big expectations to exceed, and revert back to what I've said before, Solskjaer has to win a trophy at Manchester United this season to save his job. He's not yet won a trophy as Manchester United manager. We haven't won a trophy since 2017. And that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer did say that we must leave a legacy of silverware. But we know Solskjaer's ambition for this season, and that's to win the Premier League. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013. Obviously, we're not going to win a Premier League title under Solskjaer. But in reality, we should be winning the Premier League. Revert back to what I've said before, because we've got a title winning squad. Plus, Manchester United enjoyed a very good summer transfer window this year. We made 4 signings. We brought Tom Heaton in on a free from Villa, brought Jadon Sancho in from Dortmund, brought Varane in from Real Madrid, and we re-signed Cristiano Ronaldo after 12 years. We spent around 141 million in the summer transfer window. And Solskjaer received very good backing. You know, John Murtough backed him. John Murtough is our director of football. Murtough said during the international break that we need to keep control and we will not deviate from the plan. Darren Fletcher also backed Solskjaer in the summer transfer window. Ed Woodward has backed Solskjaer. Well, Woodward said a long time ago that he'd backed Solskjaer, and he assured that Solskjaer's job was safe even when we was enduring them bad periods. Woodward's leaving Manchester United. He got announced he was leaving back in April when that European Super League came into the equation. Woodward's had a 16-year association with the club. Richard Arnold will replace Ed Woodward in January as the vice chairman. And the Glazers backed Solskjaer in the summer transfer window, but only because they'd been persuaded to. So there you go, and Solskjaer's enjoyed like 5 transfer windows now as permanent Man United manager, and we've spent like 441 million under the Solskjaer era. But this season is Solskjaer's 3rd full season as Man United manager. In the summer, Solskjaer signed a new contract with the club until 2024. There's an option of a further year, and we made a mistake giving him that contract because I can assure he won't see it out. But my concerns about Solskjaer is his decision making. There's a lot of United fans that have got strong reservations about his decision making, because analysing the vast majority of the games he's managed at Man United, he's been tactically naive. Plus, Solskjaer doesn't have a proven pedigree as a manager. You know, before he was at Manchester United, he was at Molde, He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. He enjoyed 2 spells at Molde, and before Molde he was at Cardiff, and his record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. The reason he got sacked from Cardiff is because he got them relegated. If Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager in December, he'll be celebrating 3 years in charge. Reflecting how long Solskjaer's been at the club, he has gained some managerial experience and he's learned a few different things on the job. But Solskjaer's still got plenty to learn because he's a young coach. I am surprised Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager. But revert back to what I've said so many times before, the reason he's still Manchester United manager is because he's a legend of the club. That's what's basically saved his job. I can't see Solskjaer getting until the end of this season. He won't even get till Christmas if bad results persist, and Solskjaer's facing a daunting run of fixtures. You know, we've got Liverpool in the league on Sunday. That's going to be an extremely difficult game. You know, next league game after Liverpool, I think it's Tottenham. Then it's Man City. You know, Chelsea and Arsenal are coming up soon. And I can assure we're going to drop points in some of them games, at least. You know, Solskjaer got appointed in December 2018 to replace Mourinho. He's been permanent Manchester United manager since March 2019. The reason he got the job permanently back in March 2019 was reflecting how well he did as the interim manager. You know, Solskjaer has signed 14 players as Manchester United manager so far. He's also got rid of a lot of players since he's come in. You know, he's got rid of players permanently. He's also loaned a few players out. Some progress has been made under Solskjaer. You know, he's guided us to semi-finals. He got us to 3 semi-finals in his first full season. He got us to the EFL Cup semi-final last season. Last season he got us to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, and last season he got us to the Europa League final, and that was Solskjaer's first major final as Man United manager. So there you go, and last season got us a second place finish, and in his first full season got us a third place finish. I do like the way Solskjaer develops the youth. Solskjaer's more or less giving everybody their chances to express themselves, including the young players. And in certain aspects, Solskjaer has brought consistency back. You know, Solskjaer, he's not going to replicate what Ferguson did. You know, no manager's going to replicate what Ferguson did, not in my lifetime anyway. So, no Manchester United fan can expect another Alex Ferguson. You know, Ferguson, when he was Man United manager, he won 30 odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles. So, reflecting on that, he brought success to the club. But Fergie didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. So that just shows you that it does take some managers time to settle in. Alex Ferguson enjoyed like a 27-year managerial tenure at Man United, so he was a very long-serving manager. The only mistake Ferguson made was recommending David Moyes when he retired, but the reason he did that is because they're both Scottish, and obviously Ferguson had a lot of time for David Moyes. But in regards to Solskjaer, yeah, I've heavily criticised him during his managerial tenure at Man United, but I have got to turn around and give him some credit and say he has done a pretty good job to say the current squad he was left with when he got appointed in as Man United manager. I didn't expect him to do as well as he has done, so in that aspect I am shocked. I thought he'd have been a lot worse than he has been. Now, I'm expecting Manchester United to sell players next year. There's a very good chance that Martial's going to leave next year. Martial doesn't really get in our team, and Martial's no longer good enough to represent the club. Martial did play against Everton before the international break. He scored in that game, and that was Martial's first goal for Man United since February. Martial is now out with a knock. Before the start of this season, it said Solskjaer refused to sell Martial as he remains part of his plan. Solskjaer seems to have a lot of trustworthy in Martial. Don't forget Solskjaer was the one that gave Martial that number 9 shirt. The other week, it said Newcastle want Martial. Newcastle made formal contact with his representatives. Newcastle are planning to spend big after the Saudi Arabians taking over them. Man United will demand close to the 54 million he originally paid for Martial back in 2015 from Monaco. Earlier on this year, it said Barcelona are considering a move for Martial next year. Martial's been a long-term target for Tottenham. Martial was linked with Atletico Madrid last summer. Martial rejected the chance to join Lyon on loan on deadline day. And before the start of this season, it said Inter Milan wanted Martial to replace Lukaku because Lukaku went back to Chelsea. The best season I recall Martial having was his debut season under Van Gaal. Last season he was out with a knee injury for a while. He's been at Man United for like 6.5 years now. He's got 3 years left on his contract and he scored 79 goals for Man United in all competitions. I'm expecting Edison Cavani to leave next year. I can't say I want Cavani to leave though because Cavani has made an impact since he's come in. You know, Cavani's hold-up play is good, he creates chances, his movement in and around the box is good, and he's good at scoring goals. Cavani's got under a year left on his contract. It was back in May he signed that 1-year contract extension. Cavani receives over £200,000 a week. Earlier on this season, Cavani was out with injury. Cavani initially lost his place in the team, but if we do change formation, it will allow Solskjaer to play 2 strikers, and I presume it will be Cavani and Ronaldo. Earlier on this season, it said Real Madrid want Cavani on loan in January. And I presume Barcelona will reignite their interest because Barcelona wanted Cavani on deadline day in the summer transfer window. Mata, I think he'll leave next year. Mata doesn't get in our team, does he? Plus, Mata's lost that yard of pace and he's ageing up. But despite all of that, I reckon that Juan Mata's had a good career at Man United. Mata has been at Man United for 7.5 years, so he's been a long-serving player. Mata has made over 200 appearances for Man United in all competitions and he's scored over 50 goals. At the first part of last season, Mata rejected an 18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. We got Mata back in 2014 from Chelsea for 40 million. We brought him in under the David Moyes era. Mata can play as an attacking midfielder and he can play as a right winger. Jesse Lingard, I think he'll leave next year. You know, Lingard's planning to run down his contract. He said not so long ago that Lingard rejected a new Man United contract offer because of two players. Well, last month he said Lingard rejected a Man United contract over playing time concerns. Lingard's current contract at Man United expires at the end of the season. Lingard is a target for Barcelona and AC Milan. ESPN said that not so long ago. But I think Ollie wants Lingard to stay at Man United. Well, prior to the West Ham game in the league earlier on this season, Solskjaer said Lingard will be a Man United player next season because he's red through and through. He's played a few games this season. He came off the bench against West Ham in the league and scored the winning goal, and what a goal that was. Donny van der Beek, I think he'll leave in January because Donny van der Beek is not getting enough game time at Manchester United. And Van der Beek played no part against Leicester last weekend. Solskjaer decided to go with Matic ahead of Van der Beek. Surprisingly, Matic is ahead of Van der Beek in the midfield. Can't understand why. But I've said Solskjaer has to start Van der Beek, especially in the Premier League. When he starts games, it seems to be in the Champions League or like the Carabao Cup, but apart from that, doesn't really start. He said not so long ago that Solskjaer's private view on Van der Beek became public. Solskjaer still believes Van der Beek has an Old Trafford future despite his lack of game time. Earlier on this season, Van der Beek was furious with Solskjaer as he was left on the bench in Man United's win over Villarreal. And he said Van der Beek will try to force a January transfer away from Man United following his Villarreal meltdown. Earlier on this season, Van der Beek told Solskjaer his best position. He reckons he'd be best served operating as a number 6 or as a number 8, and Van der Beek did speak about his Man United future in an exclusive interview with Rio Ferdinand. Earlier on this season, it said Van der Beek's agent is said to be working hard on finding a new club for his client. Many clubs have been in for Van der Beek, and Fabrizio Romano revealed a few weeks ago that Van der Beek is planning to leave the club in January. Van der Beek's been at Man United for 18 months. This is his second full season. We got Van der Beek for 40 million with add-ons included. He's got a contract with Man United till 2025 and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Matic, he's going to leave next year, I think. I'm hearing that Barcelona want him. I think we'll accept between 7 to 10 million for Matic. Matic doesn't play a lot. He's had his good games at Man United, but he's had bad games as well. Revert back to what I said like 2 minutes ago. Matic is ahead of Van der Beek, surprisingly. Matic has been at Man United now for like 4.5 years. Got him from Chelsea for 40 million back in 2017. Was it before the start of last season Matic signed a new 3-year contract? I'm hoping Manchester United can sell Fred next year, because Fred isn't good enough to represent the club. We overpaid for Fred. We got him for 50 million from Shakhtar Donetsk. Tellez, I think he'll go next year as well, because Tellez doesn't really get in our team. Tellez only seems to play when Luke Shaw's not available, but the reason we brought Tellez in was to provide competition for Shaw. Tellez was out with injury earlier on this season. Phil Jones, Eric Bailly and a lot, I think they'll go next year. Dean Henderson could go out on loan after David De Gea reclaimed the number 1 spot back. It said earlier on this season that Dean Henderson wants a loan move away. So there you go. And I recently give you the news on Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford's camp were unhappy with Solskjaer. Solskjaer told Rashford he needs to prioritise his football instead of his off-pitch activities. Like I said, Rashford scored in his comeback in the 4-2 defeat to Leicester. That was Rashford's first appearance since the Europa League final last season. Rashford was out with a shoulder injury for a while, and don't forget he had to have an operation on his shoulder. Rashford's in contention to play in the game against Atlanta tomorrow. Like I said, I'm predicted 11, he'll start on the left wing. Raphael Varane is out with a groin injury, he's out for a few weeks, so he won't be playing any part against Atlanta. Maguire's just come back from a calf injury. He surprisingly played against Leicester last weekend. I heavily criticised Solskjaer for playing Maguire against Leicester. Solskjaer rushed him back too soon because Maguire wasn't fully fit and Maguire was abysmal against Leicester. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. There'll be more videos coming up. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very soon.